Welcome to the desk, good friend Mike Jankins here, Iowa bankruptcy lawyer extraordinaire, as we are addressing some things that some people are a little uncomfortable talking about. And you said that you took a phone call the other day from someone who said, hey, I want to file for bankruptcy, but really had no idea what they had.
Yeah, when people are going to call a bankruptcy attorney, it's important to have anything productive during the conversation, to call and at least know what you have in the way of debt. And it doesn't necessarily have to be exact, I know this and I know that, but at least to have a general idea how much total debt you have. If you call an attorney and go, I want to file bankruptcy, it's important for the attorney to know, well, how badly do you need to file, or is your situation really that bad? Bankruptcy is not a cheap process, so you want to make sure that you have enough debt that you're really getting something for the money. If you have a couple $1,000s of debt, not a good idea. If you've got $10,000 to $20,000 of debt, depending on your income, might be a real good idea. But at least know something when you call the attorney. So if you ask, well, do you know approximately how much debt you have? You can at least say, yeah, I think I got 10,000 or 20,000. At least then you know you're going to go somewhere with the thing. It's a starting point. It's a starting point, because there's really nothing I can tell you if you can't tell me anything either. So I'm happy to talk to people on the telephone, but I at least need to know something about their situation to give them anything intelligent to think about.
What's the biggest trigger event for somebody calling you and say, hey, listen, I need some help?
Well, they may have gotten some threatening phone call from some debt collector that was rather aggressive. They may have gotten sued for the first time. So somebody shows up at the door with a small claims lawsuit or a district court lawsuit, and they're scared. So they might call, or they're getting their wages garnished for about the umpteenth time, and they finally decided, I'd like to get some of my paycheck once in a while, so they finally decide, I better go file bankruptcy. Or one of their friends or relatives says, you really need to go see a bankruptcy attorney. You're really in trouble, and so you might want to do something about it. Their home might be in foreclosure, and so because their house is in foreclosure, they probably have other debts, and so that can trigger somebody going to see a bankruptcy attorney. So that's a lot of the different things that people usually a trigger to get them to call me.
What percentage would you say of people that get a hold of you for the first time don't have the information that you need? Is it a lot?
I'd say probably 60% would maybe be.
Really?
And when I say the things that I need, when somebody comes to see us, we ask them if they could at least bring us a list of their debt, written down preferably, so we can kind of see what kind of debts they got, how much to the different places. We tell them it doesn't have to be exact. And the response we'll get is, well, I don't have my bills anymore. I haven't paid any for 3 years. I don't know who they are.
Wow.
So we'll say, okay, well, you can maybe get yourself a credit report. They're available for free. They're very useful. They're very good. The only site that one should really go to get them is www.annualcreditreport.com.
Okay.
At that site, they will take you one at a time to all three of the credit bureaus, and they're Equifax and Experian and TransUnion.
Okay.
At each website, they require you answer about 4 questions about yourself for security purposes.
Sure.
If you answer them to their satisfaction, they make the report available to print out. But once you get it and view it, you get to see it once a year, so you want to print it, because you're not getting another shot.
Can't go back and do it again.
Once every 365 days at each company.
Okay.
And sometimes
that's a different website than we're used to hearing, which ones you should get a hold of to get your free credit report. So again, it's called annualcreditreport.com.
Yes, the ones a lot of people see on TV advertised is freecreditreport.com, and that is just basically from Experian, and it's not as good as the actual Experian report, so I advise against going to get that one.
Okay.
A lot of people see a lot of marketing for Credit Karma. We've seen the information on those. It's okay, it's not thorough, and the best that exists is the annual credit report. And people can bring that to the appointment, and sometimes you can't get all three. Actually, it's very common that you can't get all three. Equifax is sometimes difficult to get. It's the most thorough. My experience is if you haven't had a mortgage loan in about the last 6 or 7 years, it's more likely than not that Equifax won't let you have it online. But if you can't get it online, you can send in for it. There's a form. They require a copy of your Social Security card or your number from some source, and then your address, something with the address they're going to mail it to, your driver's license, a utility bill, just something that'll verify the address you're putting down to send it to is your address.
Once you have the list of debts, you want to know, okay, what kind of money do you have coming in, I imagine?
Yes, in addition to knowing what your debts are, we'd like to review the entire financial situation to know what we should recommend. And in qualifying for bankruptcy, part of the whole process requires that you have a certain level of income to qualify. So we have to be able to determine, does this person actually qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, if that's what they'd like to do? Or if not, would they be a good candidate to maybe participate in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and pay their debts back over time in a restructured payment plan through the court? So income is very important.
Do you find yourself setting up a budget for people? I mean, I'm looking at the questions that you sent, and I'm picturing your interaction with people, and you obviously, for understandable reasons, hey, I need to know what your expenses are as well.
That's exactly what we do. We sit down with people. We want to know what they're spending their money on, and we actually do a budget in my office. We figure out what they make in their income each month. They bring a couple of their pay stubs. We require that. Sometimes we'll require a tax return. Some people's income has a lot of ebbs and flows. They'll work on commissions. They'll get a lot of overtime. So a couple pay stubs may not always be a good indicator to me what their broad earnings are going to be over time versus a very small slice. Yeah. And if they've been at the place for quite a while and it's representative of what they're making from year to year, it'll give us a broader look at things. If we're well into the year, a year-to-date pay stub's pretty good. I mean, if we're 10 months into the year, that's going to be a pretty good indication on the year-to-date.
Right.
And then we look through their expenses, what their house payment is or rent, what they're spending on groceries. A lot of people really don't have a good idea what they spend. They just spend. They don't really think.
Right.
And so we'll ask a family of 5, well, what are you spending on groceries? Oh, about $300. Well, we know they don't. So, I mean, we'll help them figure out what they spend.
Yeah, even if you don't know the particulars, there's some pieces of proof that you can get so you can get started on a case.
Well, I mean, we know they're spending $600 to $700 because I've seen thousands of peoples over the years, and we just know what people spend.
Right.
It takes a certain amount of money to survive and support a family, and we just know. And so if they're not spending it, it's because they've been paying all their money out, and they're living on macaroni and cheese and ramen noodles, which over a long period of time isn't the best way to live.
Now, if people want to get more information on how to get a hold of you or information in general, how do they do so? What's the easiest?
Well, they can call me on the phone at 255-1855. I'm happy to talk to you and set up an appointment. Or you can find me on the internet at www.iowa-bankruptcylaw.com.
There you go. Perfect. Well, wonderful. Well, good job, as always.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. It is 10 minutes before 9 o'clock. We'll be back. You're watching